It always begins with a quiet child, the one who never complained, never caused trouble, never asked for more than what they were given. Everyone around them said the same thing. Such a good child, so mature, so well behaved. As long as they're here, everything stays peaceful. But no one ever wondered why they were so good, because behind that calmness was a child who learned early that the safest place in a chaotic world is silence. And the slightest mistake might make it disappear, that their own needs were inconvenient unless they were hidden. So they smiled, even when they were hurting. They cooperated, even when they were overwhelmed. They became responsible, not because they were strong, but because no one else seemed to be. The world praised them for their goodness, but inside, that child was already learning to trade their authenticity for acceptance, and that quiet sacrifice follows them for the rest of their life. Good children grow into adults who apologize before they speak, who feel guilty for taking up space, and who carry a silent fear of disappointing anyone. They're the ones who always say, "It's okay, don't worry about me," even when they're breaking inside. They avoid conflict with surgical precision, not because they're passive, but because the idea of upsetting someone fills them with an old, familiar terror. They overthink every text they send. They replay conversations to check if they sounded too much. They say yes when every part of them wants to say no. They become the dependable one, the responsible one, the person others rely on, yet rarely check on. Their childhood taught them that love is conditional, something they must earn by being perfect, polite, and endlessly accommodating. And even as adults, that lesson stays etched into their bones, because somewhere deep inside, they still believe the same thing they learned as a child. If I'm good, people will stay. Psychologists call it a survival adaptation, a pattern a child develops when their world feels unpredictable, demanding, or emotionally unsafe. The good child doesn't behave perfectly out of purity. They behave perfectly because somewhere along the way, they learned that peace depends on them, that the adults around them become calmer when they are quiet, that love feels steadier when they don't ask for anything, that approval comes faster when they make themselves small. So they start scanning their environment constantly, reading moods before anyone speaks, predicting reactions before they happen, and adjusting themselves to keep everything under control. This isn't obedience. It's emotional self-protection. Slowly, their nervous system is trained to believe that being easy, helpful, and undemanding is the only way to stay safe. And without even realizing it, they internalize a painful rule. If I am good enough, no one will leave. If I stay quiet, everything will stay calm. The role becomes their identity, and the mask becomes the only version of themselves they know how to show. The good child isn't born, they're shaped. Maybe they grew up in a home where emotions were unpredictable. One wrong word could start a storm. One small mistake could break the fragile peace. So they learned to walk quietly, to appease, to stay invisible when tension rose. Some were praised for being mature too early, the responsible one, the calm one, the child who acted like an adult when they desperately needed to be a child. They were rewarded for self-sacrifice and punished, subtly or openly, for having emotions that made others uncomfortable. Whatever the story, the message was the same. Your value comes from making life easier for others. So the child learned to perform stability. They learned to hide sadness with a smile. They learned that love must be maintained, managed, protected. Growing up as the good child doesn't stay in childhood. It follows you. It grows with you. It shapes the way you love, the way you speak, the way you break. As an adult, you become the person who comforts everyone else but cries alone. The one who shows up for others, yet feels guilty asking anyone to show up for you. You take responsibility for things that were never yours. You apologize for feelings you never caused. You carry the emotional weight of entire relationships because you're terrified of becoming a burden. And the exhaustion isn't physical, it's emotional. It comes from years of being the peacekeeper, the dependable one, the one who holds everything together, even when they're falling apart inside. And somewhere in the middle of adulthood, you realize the truth. You've become an expert at caring for everyone except yourself. Healing doesn't begin with becoming stronger. It begins with allowing yourself to become real. For the first time, the grown good child has to face a truth they were never taught. That their feelings matter, that needing support doesn't make them a burden, and that love doesn't have to be earned through perfection. It starts quietly, with tiny acts of rebellion against their old identity. Saying no without explaining, resting without feeling guilty, asking for help even when their voice shakes, letting someone see them, not the version they perform. At first, it feels wrong, uncomfortable, dangerous. Their whole nervous system reacts as if choosing themselves is an act of betrayal. But slowly, they learn that boundaries don't ruin relationships, they protect them. Honesty doesn't push people away, it reveals who's meant to stay. And love that requires self-erasure is not love, it's survival. And for the first time, they begin to see themselves not as a role, but as a person. At some point, you stop trying to earn the love you deserved all along. You stop shaping yourself into what makes others comfortable. You stop shrinking, apologizing, and holding your breath just to keep the peace. You begin to understand that the good child was never really you. It was the version of you that survived. And survival is not the same as living. You start honoring the emotions you once hid. You let the world see who you actually are, not the quiet, pleasant echo of what others needed you to be. And something begins to change. You realize that the people meant for you won't leave when you stop performing. They won't love you less when you rest. They won't disappear when you say no. And slowly, the story shifts. You are no longer the good child. You are a grown human being learning for the first time that your needs are not too much. Your voice is not too loud, and your presence does not have to be perfect to deserve love.